Hello viewers, welcome to K Diagnostics. Dio here. Today we have a 2005 Ford Freestyle with a 3.0 liter. The customer complaint on this vehicle is the check engine light remains on the dash while the engine is running. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go in the vehicle and confirm the customer's complaint. After confirming the complaint, we're going to connect a scan tool to the vehicle to see what kind of trouble codes we have in the engine computer that is causing the check engine light to remain on the dash. After we retrieve the trouble codes, then I'm going to tell you what we're going to do so we can fix whatever that's causing the check engine light to remain on the dash. So now let's go in the vehicle and confirm the customer's complaint. So right there, as you can hear, the engine is running and the check engine light remained on the dash. So right there, check engine light is on. So customer's complaint confirmed. So we have confirmed the customer's complaint. The check engine light indeed remains on the dash. I'm going to turn off the engine. I'm going to turn the key back on. I'm going to get the scan tool connected to the vehicle. After I get the scan tool connected to the vehicle, I'll bring you guys back up so we can scan the engine computer. So I got the scan tool connected to the vehicle. I'm going to bring it up. So let's see what we got. We're going to go to scanner. We got two trouble codes in the engine computer. Our trouble codes are P0141, and this code here says O2 sensor bank 1 sensor 2 heater circuit fault. And then the second trouble code is P1000 OBD2 system checks incomplete. Okay, so we're gonna focus on this first trouble code because this is what's causing the check engine light to remain on the dash. This second trouble code over here is not going to cause the check engine light to remain on because this code is set when all the monitors on the vehicle haven't run. Okay, and usually this code is set when the battery was disconnected previously. So I believe the battery was disconnected at some point. We're not going to worry about this code. This code over here, the first code, is what's causing the check engine light to remain on. Now, before we talk more about this first trouble code, I want to scroll down and see what else we have in the other control unit. So we have 0 codes in the transmission control unit, 0 codes in the ABS, so that's good. Pretty much all these modules over here don't have any trouble codes in them, so that's good. We have the same code on the generic side of the tool, P0141 O2 sensor heater circuit bank 1 sensor 2. So this code over here is self-explanatory. When this code is set in the engine computer, it's because we have a problem in the heater circuit. And the problem in the heater circuit can be an open in the circuit of the sensor heater between the engine computer and the O2 sensor. Or the issue could be an open heater inside the O2 sensor itself. Okay, so usually what I see when I have these trouble codes, the problem ends up being a defective O2 sensor. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into the engine computer because we know we have a problem in the heater circuit, which can be caused by either a defective O2 sensor or an open in the heater circuit. So I'm going to go to functional test. Let's see if we have an option to turn the heater on this vehicle. So it looks like we won't be able to turn on the O2 sensor heater on this vehicle. So So that's interesting. Output control. Okay, so no O2 sensor heater test we can do. So we can turn the heater on and off with this scan tool. So what I'm gonna do is we're gonna go under the vehicle and get access to the O2 sensor. Once we get to the O2 sensor, we're gonna disconnect the electrical connector of the O2 sensor, and then we're gonna bypass the heater with a test light. We're gonna connect a test light across the sensor heater wires to see if the heater is gonna come on when we turn the key on, or maybe when we start the engine. If the light comes on when we start the engine, that's gonna tell me that the wiring is good, and at that point we're gonna go ahead and replace the sensor. So now what I need to do is I'm going to back out. Let's figure out which bank is bank 1. So we're gonna go to our guided component test. Let's go to engine. Let's go to ignition test. Let's see if the bank 1 is the bank in front of the vehicle or the bank against the firewall. So here is our firing order. So it looks like bank 1 is going to be the bank against the firewall because the crank pulley is over there on the passenger side. Okay, so now let's go under the vehicle so we can do some tests at the O2 sensor wiring. We are here under the vehicle. Bank 2 is the bank in front of the vehicle, and bank 1 is the bank back here. Okay, so here is our back catalytic converter, and bank 1 sensor 2 is this sensor over here. Okay, so this is the catalytic converter on bank 1. This is the second sensor, so we need to follow this wire, and this wire goes up here. So I'm going to pull this connector up. Okay, now we have two wires that are white on this connector, and then we have one black wire and one gray wire. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to back probe these two wires that have the same color. So these two white wires, these are our sensor heater. We're gonna back probe them. I'm going to put a test light between these two white wires, and then we're gonna start the engine to see if the test light is gonna light. If the test light lights, that's gonna tell me that the sensor circuit is good, and at that point we're gonna go ahead and replace the O2 sensor. Okay, so let me get my test light over here so we can connect it between these two wires. We're gonna use piercing tools to check the heater wiring. So I'm gonna pierce these two white wires. So now we're gonna bring up our test light and connect our test light to these piercing tools. Okay, so I'm going to put the test light right here so you can see it when it comes on. Okay. Okay, so we are piercing those two white wires for the sensor heater. So now, since we couldn't turn on the heater with the scan tool, I'm gonna go in the vehicle and cycle the key first. So watch this light and see if it comes on. After cycling the key a couple times, I'm gonna start the engine, okay? So this light should come on if the heater circuit is good. Now I'm gonna go in the vehicle and start the engine. All right, I'm gonna cycle the key. So key is on. So So now I'm gonna start the engine. I'm gonna start the engine one more time. You saw the test light blink. The test light blinking means there is power and ground going to the O2 sensor here. Okay, so that means the heater circuit is good. Since we have a heater circuit code, it means the heater inside the O2 sensor is open. Okay, so at this point we're gonna go ahead and replace the sensor because the problem is inside the sensor. Actually, I just remembered, instead of going inside the vehicle and cycling the key on and off, I can do a key on engine off self-test on the scan tool, which is gonna turn on this heater. I'm gonna try that. I have my scan tool here. You can see it behind the camera. I'm going to do a key on engine off self-test. So right there. Did you see that? So I'm using, there you go. So that's a self-test I'm doing with the scan tool. Okay, so I have my scan tool down here. So what this does is it pretty much turns on all the outputs on the vehicle to check for any electrical issues. Okay, so let's do that one more time. Key on, engine off, self-test. See that? So that's good. Okay, right there our output circuits are good. Okay, after doing this test, our O2 sensor heater circuit code didn't come back. Now we only have a P1000 code set in the engine computer. I'm going to show you the scan tool here. Look at what we have. Only the P1000 code. Okay, our O2 sensor heater code is no longer being set because we have a test light bypassing our heater in the O2 sensor. Alright guys, so that's good. I feel comfortable replacing this O2 sensor. I'm going to get my test light out of the way. Let's disconnect our piercing tools. Now, I pierced the wires on the sensor side, not on the harness side, because, you know, I kind of knew that the problem was just going to be the sensor. And these O2 sensor heater codes, about 80% of the time, the issue just ends up being the sensor. So we pierced this side, okay, of the connector, which is the sensor side, because we're gonna replace this anyways. Okay, so I'm gonna disconnect it. Let's get the sensor unplugged. Right there. Okay. So now I'm going to get my O2 sensor socket so we can remove the O2 sensor. I'm gonna get my O2 sensor socket on the O2 sensor. Let's see how easy it's gonna be. To remove. Alright, so we got the O2 sensor cracked loose. So now I'm gonna grab a 7/8 wrench so we can undo the sensor. So here comes our O2 sensor. Okay, so right here I got the O2 sensor removed. Okay, so we're gonna get it out of the way. I got a new O2 sensor from the parts store. Here is the part number. So we're gonna get this sensor out of the box. So this is the sensor that we're gonna install. Okay, so here is our brand new O2 sensor. Okay, so now we're gonna install this sensor. All right. We're gonna install this sensor over here. Now you have to be careful when you install this sensor. You have to make sure you screw the sensor all the way in with your hands, I mean your fingers, before you use a wrench, because you don't want to cross thread this O2 sensor, and you have to install it with the wire disconnected. Okay, so connecting the wire is the last step of the process. Okay, I don't know if you can see up here, my wire is twisting, so we're gonna tighten our O2 sensor first. As you can see, I screwed it in all the way with my fingers first before I tighten it. Okay, so that's good. So now we're going to use our wrench to tighten our O2 sensor. All right, so that's good. The sensor is tight. So now I'm going to route the sensor wiring back here. I routed the sensor wiring back here. So now I'm gonna connect our brand new O2 sensor. So just like that, I'm gonna get a zip tie and zip tie the sensor wiring against this tube. Alright guys, we have installed a new O2 sensor. So now I'm gonna lower the vehicle so we can erase the trouble code, and after that we're gonna wrap up this video. I'm gonna turn the key on so we can erase the trouble codes. I'm gonna bring up our scan tool. I haven't erased the trouble codes yet. Let's read the codes. Let's go to memory codes. Okay, so our hero code is there. Let's back out and clear the codes. Alright, we have cleared the trouble codes. I'm gonna go ahead and start the engine. Our check engine light should now be off. So right there, as you can hear, the engine is running. The check engine light is off. Okay, so this is good. This is fixed, guys. I don't have to test drive this. I know for sure that this is fixed. I'm going to turn off the engine. I'm going to turn the key back on. I'm going to bring up our scan tool one last time. Let's do a key on, engine off, self-test. Let's see what codes comes back. Okay, only the P1000 code comes back. So that's good. Let's go to pending codes. No codes present. So we're good to go, guys. This is fixed, okay? So I feel comfortable delivering this back to the customer. All right, so no more check engine light. We're good. This is fixed, guys. I'm gonna turn off the engine so we can wrap up this video. Alright guys, I'm gonna leave this right over here. This is how you diagnose and fix a O2 sensor hearer circuit code. I hope you liked the video. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. If you don't like the video, give it a thumb down. But if you do, you gotta tell me why so we can make better videos in the future. If this is your first time here, subscribe to the channel. Ring the bell so you can get notified every time I upload a new video. If you have any comments, questions, criticism, leave them in the comment box. Thanks for watching. See you next time.